You're listening to Best Forevers, a podcast for kindred spirits, a podcast that encourages you to love more on your friends and to further consider the issues that plague friendships. I'm Alysa Lucas, and I'm here with Claire. Hi, Claire.
Hi.
And we're complaining about the cold, snowy weather and the storm that's coming to hit Mount Pleasant, Michigan, and we're singing...
I know what you did last summer.
Yeah, we're thinking about Shawn Mendes and...
Camila Cabello?
Yeah, I don't know who that is. But I love the song, so maybe I should go look her up. But we are singing that song because I kind of think it's the theme today because we don't like the snow, we don't like the cold. There's a storm a-coming.
I need some sunshine.
I need some sunshine. And so this is the theme because today's book is... I Know What You Did Last Summer by Lois Duncan.
Yes.
And then, 40 years later, Shawn Mendes created a song that...
Sunshine and Murder.
Sunshine and Murder. I don't think Shawn Mendes is into that.
Maybe.
Maybe not. Maybe. I don't know. Shawn, let us know. Are you a true crime buff? No, so this, I think, is our 5th book club series episode.
Yeah.
Because we're back to... my books,
yes.
And this is the 3rd one. And so those of you who are new to Best Forevers, welcome. And if you're new to the Best Forevers book club, me and Claire kind of came up with this idea when Claire was helping me start the podcast because she's a pod head. And so she knows a lot about podcasts, so she was helping me get set up and stuff. And so as we were talking, we thought it would be really, funny and interesting and cool.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Nerdy cool.
That if we read each other's books from childhood, and so I'm twice the age as Claire. And so it's my books from my childhood, Claire has never read. And then the books from Claire's childhood, I've probably read some of them.
Yeah, they were big hits.
Big hits, yeah. But she's been having me read these really complicated long books that are making my head hurt. And then my books are always short and less complicated. And so, but for my books, we have done Sweet Valley High and The Babysitter's Club, which are classics.
Yeah, staples of every 80s child.
Exactly.
Childhood.
And so this time we're taking a little bit of a turn of the scandalous Sweet Valley High that's all I'm going to fight with you and clicks and And then Babysitter's Club, which is just wholesome, good babysitting fun.
Yes.
And we're taking a sharp left to one of my favorites, Lois Duncan.
All right.
And Lois Duncan is an amazing writer, and in some ways I don't think she's well known by newer readers.
No, I don't think so. I think I'd heard of her
probably because I talked about it in class.
Yeah, that's probably why. But the name sounded familiar to me.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. So,
well, when I announced that this was the book in our last book club series, I called it a horror book, and I'm wrong.
Yeah.
In comparison to Sweet Valley High and Babysitter's Club, maybe that's what I was thinking. And then I also said that it was a book from the 80s. And then I went back and I was this was written in 1973, and she's a suspense writer.
Well, I mean, it's dark.
Yeah, I read it in the 80s, and I was probably scared out of...
For the time, for children's literature at that time, maybe it is horror. I don't know,
I think based on the book I have, she describes it as suspense. And so I wanted to correct myself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Really good advice from Ice Cube.
Thank you, Ice Cube.
Thank you, Ice Cube. And so that's the idea, is that me and Claire read each other's books, and then we come in and we tell you about it. And this book, because it is a suspense, is very much spoiler alert, because we're going to talk about it all.
Yeah.
What happens and who the mystery people or person is.
Yeah.
So if you haven't read it and you like to wait, it's only 200 pages because I pick books that are easy to read and Claire does not. So then I would say hit pause, go check out the book.
Yeah. You can get it in an afternoon.
Exactly.
Reasonably.
Like all of my books, as a reminder. And then come back and listen. And because there's a lot going on here, and there's a lot of interesting things to come because of this. So, Claire, do you want to read the description from the back of your book? And now, Claire and I have different versions of the book.
We do. This is the first time we've ever had different versions.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah. Because mine is a re-release, but not as new of a re-release as yours. So
yeah, you said it was 2005, right?
Yeah. So mine is an ex-library book. So it is short and sweet on the back. It's the best-selling novel by Lois Duncan.
Hello.
They thought the worst summer of their lives was behind them. ...
Oh my gosh, 4 dots.
We got 4.
Okay, for those of you who don't remember, Sweet Valley High loves the ... And now we have 4 dots. So we're moving from teen, click, scandal to mystery suspense.
Yes.
There's an extra dot.
Yes. So ... They make a pact. They'll never talk about it again. And they don't until the note.
Oh.
One short sentence is enough to shatter their lives. Someone knows what they did, and someone wants revenge.
I know what you did last summer. What now? If this was created now, like you could really spook people out by just like playing that song. Oh my God, how does Shawn Mendes know what I did last summer?
Walking through the mall, the song comes on.
Oh dear God. So mine is also short and sweet, but mine is a 2010 release. And so my 2010 release, I just like to let people know now, has been updated from the 70s. And Lois Duncan had a very heavy hand in that. And she was the one who wrote the update. And so we have cell phones. And however, there's still like language and names and things like that where you're like, this is very 70s. And then things that are very clear that's like, oh my God. Where's my cell phone? You're like, okay, you're really trying to make this 2010. So it says, some secrets just won't stay buried. They didn't mean it. They didn't mean to hit the boy. There was a party, and it was an accident, ... So in 2010, they got rid of a dot.
Dang.
Okay, but they had futures to protect. So Barry, Julie, Helen, and Ray swore one another to secrecy. But now a year later, someone knows. Julie receives a haunting anonymous threat. I know what you did last summer. I'm so sorry. The note is an anonymous threat that says, I know what you did last summer. And it's in all black letters, right? The dark lie is unearthed, and before the 4 friends know it, they need to outsmart a killer, ... or they will be the next to die. Yeah. Now,
That's much more explicit in what happens in the back of that one.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I mean, I set up the description of what we're going to talk about in a very suspenseful way, and now it's ruined because I didn't read the back of the book beforehand.
Yeah, well.
Dang it.
Play along, people. Play along.
And so my cover is actually kind of spooky. There's like dark road, and then it says, I know what you did last summer, and like these crazy letters. But yours, please tell our friends what yours looks like.
So, it's black and red.
Murder.
Yes. Mine has a man in like a fishing hat, I guess, and like a trench coat, and he's holding
No, that's a
hook.
slicker.
Oh, excuse me, a slicker. Maybe it's a rain hat then. I don't know what's going on. Even though it's a re-release in 2005, it's still like,
what is
it
happening?
looks like it could be from the 70s. Because I guess because of size. I always think of like the drugstore, like grocery store books this size.
Yeah. She has a tiny book. Mine's much bigger,
Yes.
like in width.
Yes. And then it just he has like a hook and it's glowing. And I don't understand the hook now that I've read it. It makes no sense.
You also don't understand the slicker, which I'll explain in just a second.
And it has this typed font, but it's like shadowed and weird and just, it says, I know what you did last summer, but it's all like wonky and like, ooh, spooky.
Yeah. So that's 2005, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was re-released after the 1997 movie, which I like to just say off mic, me and Claire were talking about, again, how much younger than she is than me. She was born the year I graduated from high school, which is also, we were talking about, that's the year that Tupac was murdered.
Yes.
And a year later, or was it 98? I Know What You Did Last Summer came out in the movie theater.
Oh.
And in that movie, there's a man in a slicker with a hook. And so, Claire, what this means, and some of the fun that our listeners are going to get into, is that Claire has to now watch this movie and then come back and talk to us about it for Patreon.
It's on Netflix, people, so I got this.
It is. I'm so excited. And when we were together last, she recorded an episode for my true crime podcast, Fatalities. And so we were talking about the Lois Duncan book, and I was like, oh, we have to watch the movie. And so I went and looked on Netflix, and I was like, yes. And then every single time I sign into Netflix, I'm like, okay, I can't watch it yet. I can't watch it yet.
Gotta wait.
I gotta finish the book because I don't want it to taint, even though I've already seen it. So.
Well, it's been a while, though, I'm sure.
I mean, I've seen it a couple times since then.
Oh,
It has
okay.
Ryan Phillippe in it, who I had like kind of a crush on, and like Sarah Michelle Gellar, who was Buffy, and
Yeah.
Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt. So,
Okay.
oh, you're gonna just
We're gonna have a good
enjoy. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So stay tuned on Patreon for that.
Yes. And I guess we can announce now, too, and we'll remind people at the end, that we're doing a special crossover episode between Best Forevers and Fatalities. And the way that we're doing that is Lois Duncan is one of my favorite authors. Some of my other favorite books that she's written is Locked in Time and Killing Mr. Griffin. And so she's always been one of my favorite authors. And so when I learned that her youngest daughter was murdered, I thought that was really, devastating to hear. But then think about someone who writes suspense and mystery. And she had been writing since the 60s, I believe.
Yeah.
And then her youngest daughter was murdered in 1989, which had an impact on her writing after that. So here we'll detail the book and the friendships from the book. On Patreon, we'll talk about the movie. And on Fatalities, we'll talk about the case of her daughter.
We are across all platforms.
Across all platforms, and the Fatalities episode comes out on this upcoming Wednesday, February 20th, so check that out. So shall we dive into the book, though?
Sure.
I know what you did last summer. Oh, wait, I forgot to read. So Goodreads also has another description. Okay. Like, there's so many descriptions of this story, and the one that is most wrong is the picture of the guy in the slicker. Okay. So last summer, 4 terrified friends made a desperate pact to conceal a shocking secret. But now someone has learned the truth and is determined to get even. The horror is starting again. There is an unknown adventurer out there who's stalking them in a deadly game. Will he stop at terror, or is he out for revenge? Lots of dark side topics happening here. Revenge, secrets. And I also think this means that it might be time for Best Forevers to have an episode completely dedicated to secrets.
Yeah. Because that's kind of the key thing. Huh.
Yeah. I mean, one of the main markers of friendship is that you keep your friends' confidences.
Yeah.
And so, but it's an uncertainty increasing event if people that you trust share your secrets.
Yeah.
And so, I'll have to get that together. So, okay, I think because it's my book, you go first. Is that how it works?
Yeah. So we're diving right into chapter 1?
Well, these aren't by chapters. So me and Claire make notes. And so I kind of number the breaks. They're not all by chapters. I try to combine. They're plot points.
Got it.
So, but it is very detailed. So get some chai latte. What are you drinking over there?
Earl Grey tea latte.
Yeah. Oh, we got the lattes today. Yes. And so we're trying to stay cozy warm. So settle in for the story of I Know What You Did Last Summer.
This chilling thriller.
Yes. Go ahead, Claire.
So we meet Julie James and her mother. Julie has received mail, and it's time when most high school students and their family and friends are excited and proud about the schools they're accepted to. But Julie is different than she was a year ago. Her mother had noticed and is concerned, but she's still accepted to a school far away, Smith College.
Sounds fake.
My friend goes there.
Oh. It's real.
One of my good friends goes there. It's an all-women's school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm like, it sounds fake.
It's a prestigious university on the East Coast.
Bad.
No.
I know of Wellesley. Shout out, ladies.
There you go. So Smith College, and her mom is still proud. Julie heads to her bedroom to get ready for a date, even though she's no longer as social as she used to be. And there's a second letter with her Smith acceptance. Her name is written in black block letters with no return address. And when she opens the note, she starts to feel sick as she reads it. I know what you did last summer.
Now I can only think of Shawn Mendes.
I know. Julie wonders how anyone would know what happened last year.
So she's excited because she's gotten into school, and then boom, turns it around. So then we now meet Barry, a college guy who lives in a fraternity house on campus, but is going to see a girl he's been interested in and has been
going
together.
Steady?
Well, no, in the 70s it would have been going steady. In 2010 it'd be like talking.
That's fair.
Isn't that what the kids say these days?
I don't know. I guess.
It is. Okay. So Helen had called Barry in a panic, and so when he went over there because she's not someone who kind of nags on him or rags on him, and so when she calls, like, she means it. Mm-hmm. So, but not without taking his sweet time to check out other girls wherever he can find them. So as he's walking into her apartment, so Julie's still in high school, but the 3 friends that we're going to talk about are no longer in high school. And so Helen has an apartment. And so he's walking through, he's checking out the girls by the pool. And so I always think, like, so are you dating her or not? Like, make up your mind, bro.
He's a playboy, as he described himself in my book. I was like, get out of here.
Playboy. That wasn't in my 2010 version. I think it was more like the man on campus or something like that. Football star.
I just called him a dirtbag the whole time. In my notes.
Well, clutch my pearls, Claire. You have a hard and fast opinion of Barry right out the gate. Oh my goodness. Wait till you see Ryan Phillippe in the movie, though. Okay. So, I mean, it's actually perfect. When he arrives to Helen's apartment, we learn that he likes staying connected with Helen because of her job as Channel 5's future star, which is basically she sent in a photo of herself.
Oh, they call her a future star?
Yeah.
Oh, mine's Golden Girl.
Oh, ooh, like Golden Girl's like, thank you for being a friend. Travel down and... Okay. Yeah, so it's Channel 5's future star. You can tell I wrote this for you. If you're like, I thought she was a Golden Girl. And so what it entailed was like sending in a picture. She's really a beautiful young girl. And so what she does is sort of represent the channel, and she does different things like PR type stuff, like not like behind the scenes PR, but like
Promo stuff.
Promo stuff, exactly. So he kind of thinks, like he says that he sticks around because she's gorgeous and she seems to have like this, I call it quasi high status role, because it's like, where do you live? And you're like Channel 5. What's Channel 5, right? Like it's
the local news.
The local news. It's not like, I mean, if this was re-released now, she'd be like a YouTube star.
Or like an Instagram influencer.
Oh, we should, you know what we should do? Because we have so much time.
Yes, I have so much time.
We should write like the updated version of this. Like,
fan fiction?
Oh, don't even get me started. I already know the theme song.
Oh, yeah. We got that sorted for you.
Oh my God, I'm kind of excited about writing some fan fiction in all my free time. Okay, so he kind of benefits from her and her lifestyle, and so maybe he was kind of a dirtbag. Inside the apartment are Helen and Julie, who are waiting to show him the note that Julie received. And Barry hasn't seen... Actually, Julie hasn't seen either of them since basically the night of the accident, like the night that this
because
thing
she's
happened.
still in high school and they moved on.
Yeah, yep, exactly. And so he's kind of like, oh, you look like crap.
Thanks.
Thanks, bro. But then he's like, shows him the note, and he's like, who did you tell? Like, we made a pact. You can't break the pact. We all decided on that. So who did you tell? Helen tells him that Ray is back. And so he is the 4th member of this group. And Julie is surprised because that's her ex-boyfriend. But why is he back? And why didn't he let any of them know?
Where did he go?
Yeah, where did he go? And why is he back? And Helen had seen him the day before. And so everyone seems surprised. But they don't believe that he would have turned on them, because at first, you know, Barry was like, oh, this sounds like Ray would play a prank. And Julie was like, you know, I know him better than anyone, and he would never do anything like that. So he's just like, listen, you're right. He wouldn't have done anything because Ray helped him hammer out the dent in the car. He discounts the note and tells them to, quote, unpanic. Because it's likely a joke, or maybe it's referring to a whole host of other events that might have happened that last summer. I'm like, what other events happened that were more important than this, like, horrific thing that happened? So, or that he says, like, there's enough creeps to blame because Helen's on Channel 5 and that Julie used to be a cheerleader, and, like, maybe she turned someone down for a date and they're getting revenge.
But, like, that specific phrase, like, I know what you did last summer.
I know, like, it's like, you know what I did last summer? Nothing.
Yeah.
No, I worked on my tenure packet. I take that back.
I was in Alaska. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, you were just coming back from your study abroad from
Yes.
Scotland. Oh my goodness. Okay. La la la. Okay, as Barry leaves Helen's apartment, another car starts at the same time as his and follows him all the way back to his fraternity, but then drives by him. So there was someone out there who was waiting for Barry. Was it Ray? Was it someone else?
Ray in a different car? Who knows?
So, all right, take it away.
All right. When Julie returns home, there's a car in the driveway. But it's not Bud's, the guy she's been seeing. Instead,
Bud.
it's Ray.
That sounds... Bud and Ray sound like names from 1973.
Well,
We can
We're
update
right
them
on
in our
brand.
fan fiction.
yes. Ray becomes Chad. No, Bud is Chad. Never mind. No one likes Chad.
Oh, I can't wait for this workshop session. Oh my god, it's gonna be great.
Just revamping.
Yeah, we're just gonna fan fiction it up. It'll be fun.
Yes. And so Ray's back. Julie and Ray used to date, and then after that night, Julie broke up with him, and he's been living in California and working on boats. But he's back in her house, and her mom seems excited to see Ray and told him about Julie's acceptance to Smith.
The fake college.
Julie's mom wonders if Ray being gone contributed to how different Julie has been in the past year, or if that's why Julie decided to hit the books more.
Yeah.
When Julie's mom leaves the room, the two are able to speak more openly. Okay, at this point, I was like, she is right over there in the kitchen making you some dessert. Like, why are you just openly talking about this?
And her mom makes a lot of things in at least my version of the book.
Yeah,
she's making bread. She's got cake.
All the time. It's good. Very homey. Very stereotypical mother from the 70s.
Well, yeah, but also, as we discover later, but I don't know if I have it written up in here, is that Julie's dad passed away when she was a kid, so it's just her and Julie. So maybe it's, she works, but then also does these things, so maybe trying to make it feel homey, even though they're missing her dad.
Yeah. So Ray asked how she was doing, and she's fine, but he tells her she looks like hell. Great, more people being like, you look terrible.
That's not the last time we'll hear that.
Yeah. Has the accident impacted her? She talks about sending yellow roses and deciding after the funeral that she can't think about it again. That's why Ray left and why she's going to Smith, to get away from it all. They start talking about Helen and Barry. Ray wonders if they're still dating. Julie says she thinks so, although she can't believe Helen lets Barry touch her. Okay. I was like, what did he do?
I think Julie agrees with you that Barry is a dirtbag.
Yeah, she still protects him.
Yep.
Because she has to.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Ray interjects and says it was an accident. It could have been him driving. But Julie says, you would have stopped. Ray indicates no one knows how they would have reacted when they find themselves in a situation like this. And Julie says Julie says, we wanted to go back, but Barry talked us into the pact. She notes that Helen and Ray would always defend Barry, no matter what. She shares that she received the note in the mail, but that Barry had thought it was from some creeper. Ray then asks her about dating.
Because that's what I think about. So it's got to be a creeper. So who you dating?
Well, maybe he's worried, like, oh, you turn someone down and they're, like, going stalker on you.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah. Ray then asks her about dating. So is the guy she dating a prankster? No, he's nice, older, serious, back from Iraq. Oh, that's an update. Mine says Vietnam.
Yeah, that's the other thing is, like, to update it because it was in the 70s. Right. Yeah, so one of the things that Lois Duncan was saying is that there seem to be some similarities, though, through the time.
Yeah, I can see the parallels for sure. Ray asks if she's in love with Bud, but she's not sure. Maybe Ray and her could get back together, and Julie is clear with him that she wanted to forget what happened and being away from him would help. But he wonders if they could dissolve the pact. Julie says that Barry would never allow it. And then, with that, Bud is there for their date. Ray and Bud make small talk while Julie combs her hair.
That's got to be awkward.
Yeah, they seem to do okay, though. Like, when I was reading my version, I was like, oh, like, this is pretty civil. Like, it could have been, he could have done the jealous ex thing, and he didn't.
Like, super
he was very
ugly.
Nice.
Yeah. So, back to Helen. She has amazing hours with Channel 5 as that future Golden Girl star. So, at 11 a.m., she's often laying by the pool in the sun, and as she was sitting there enjoying the fact that she has great hours, she remembers that her sister Alysa often criticizes her for the job. Alysa wonders why they even pair, because all she does is look pretty. While Helen has great hours, attention, and money, Alysa has to work long hours at Ward's department store, and she doesn't believe that Helen actually works, because the only work that counts is the work that makes your back ache. Yeah.
I mean, if you're from, like, more, like, I think Helen's from a more working class background, that would, like, mentality would make sense. Like, you have a hard day's work and you earned your money if, like, you...
But there's other ways to earn your money that can be hard work. But, yeah, I can see, like, the working class, but, you know, how many people sit in a chair all day on a computer, but they're still working long hours.
Your back hurts after that.
Your back probably hurts after that too.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Everyone needs.
Hey, she has
pads.
to wear her high heels. That hurts your feet. That's enough.
And your back. It can be problematic.
She's in pain too.
Maybe she's the deck chair she's laying on causes some back pain.
Is your deck chair too hard, princess problems?
As she lays by the pool, she also thinks about Barry, how they might get married and how he doesn't like to be pressured and that he gets irritated, just like when she called him yesterday. While she's thinking, a voice interrupts her and asks if they could sit next to her. It's her new neighbor, just 2 doors down from her, Collingsworth Wilson. Dude,
what a name.
We have to fan fiction that. Stat. Collingsworth Wilson.
Did he call him Colin?
Yeah, but no, it's Collie.
Collie. Oh, is he a dog? Like, is he a collie dog?
Like, the only heir to a
$1 billion fortune. Is your dad Batman? Like, what's going on?
Actually, that'd be kind of cool. Okay.
Yeah, crossover.
Yeah. We got some serious fan fiction work to do. So they chat. She tells him about Barry and her job, but then she goes in so not to get burned by the sun because that could be bad for her job.
Yeah, I can't look like a lobster on television.
No, you can't. And the lighting is, probably not flattering and so on and so forth. She tells him, when she returns to her apartment, there's a photo taped to her door. It was an image of a little boy on a bike.
Creepy.
Yeah, that is creepy.
Under the best circumstances, that's creepy.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
So the next morning, Ray received an envelope with a newspaper clipping in it, and he was not surprised. The letter said a 10-year-old boy was killed, or the newspaper said a 10-year-old boy was killed last night in a hit-and-run accident on Mountain Road, 2 miles south of the Silver Springs picnic area. Dead is Daniel Gregg, son of Michael and Mary Gregg, of 1279 Morningside Road, Northeast. Daniel was riding his bicycle when he was struck by an unidentified vehicle. A phone called from an alleged occupant. Oh, because mine is from a payphone, so I was like, what?
Okay. It's 2010, baby. They got cell phones.
Gotta update that. Alleged occupant of that vehicle informed the authorities of the accident. A police car and an ambulance were immediately dispatched to the scene. The boy was conscious upon arrival, and the rescue crew and died en route to St. Joseph's Hospital. Mr. Gregg informed reporters that his son had been spending the night at a friend's house in Mountain Road area, and evidently decided to return home during the evening. The bicycle doesn't have lights or reflectors. There we go. Oh boy.
Autocorrect.
Yeah. Police are looking for the car that struck young Gregg. Paint deposits on the bicycle show that it had been light blue in color. Daniel is survived by his parents, a half-brother, a half-sister, a maternal grandfather, 2 aunts, and an uncle.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
Ray realizes everything happening is not a joke, and everything that's happened has finally caught up with them. Ray thinks about a year ago, he was home with his parents, specifically with a dad who really wanted him to play football because his dad had been so good at football. But his dad was disappointed because Ray was so small. And so what Ray did instead was tutor athletes, and he was friends with Barry, who was the quarterback. But his dad gave him somewhat of a break when Ray started dating Julie, a cheerleader. So it's like, okay.
Status is what we care about.
Yeah, that seems to be really important. So Ray laments about not being anyone. Like, he didn't know who he was. Aww. He was either the shadow of his dad or Barry. He even wondered what Julie saw in him. And she did love him because she told him. But it was all over instantly the Saturday night when Daniel Craig... I almost want to say Daniel Craig.
I know. I almost slipped too. Or Greg Daniels. I'm like... I could.
We need to get it together. Okay. Yeah. When Greg died, it had been Ray's car, but they flipped for it and Barry won driver. Him and Julie were making out in the back. They had all been drinking. Barry was driving fast, and then Helen screamed. In front of them was Daniel on the bike. His back was to them in the glare of the headlights, and Ray remembered that he was wearing a striped shirt. After Barry hit him, he kept driving. That's... oh my God.
Rule number 1, stop.
It's a boy. He didn't stop even when Julie said they needed to go back. What about helping him? Barry said they weren't doctors, so they kept driving.
Okay. Did you not take driver's ed? You have to stop. Oh, gosh.
Not if you want to go to college and not get
okay, but I feel
prison.
Like consequences would be minimized if you stopped. It was an accident. It was dark. He didn't have reflectors. We didn't see him until the last minute. You can, they even said in the newspaper, this could have been minimized. You'd be punished for it, but it wouldn't be as bad if you covered it up. Yeah,
versus what would happen after all this time.
It's not a hit and run if you don't run. It's just a hit.
Touche.
So.
So Ray was like, we have to call to get him an ambulance, but Barry told him to wait, and so Ray did. He called from his cell phone. They asked his name, but before he could answer, Barry told him to hang up, and he did. Julie says they have to go back. It's the law. But Barry talks about them partying, that he's the only one who's 18, so he'll go to jail for sure.
Did they have weed references in yours? Because they had...
Yeah, it was a little, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they were
so they had
drinking
been
and
smoking.
drinking.
Yeah, pot.
Okay.
I guess I just didn't include it. Let's see. So Helen says it was an accident, but Barry says that it doesn't make a difference. Ray said he's also responsible because it was his car, and so Barry thinks that Ray should say that he was driving. But Julie's like, no, and because then you're going to ruin Ray's life. And he's like, so you rather ruin mine? And he's a minor, so he wouldn't get in as much trouble as I would. So Helen says they should take a vote, because, yeah, when you can't decide on something super serious...
Let's vote.
Let's flip a coin like we did for who gets front seat, back seat. But this time they vote, so it's not the randomness of the coin.
Yeah, but let's vote with an even number of people.
Yeah.
So...
Perfect. Julie wants to go back, but Helen and Barry do not. It's Ray's turn to vote, and he says to Julie, quote, he's my best friend, end quote.
Barry needs to own up to his actions. Like,
Yes.
Julie mentions multiple times that he's a reckless driver under good circumstances.
Yeah.
So it's like, buddy, like, stop trying to have other people take responsibility for your bad choices.
Exactly. Like, you are making poor life decisions, and it's impacting other people.
Come on, Barry.
Well,
Dirtbag
I think
Barry.
you'll enjoy reading this part then, right?
Yes. Oh, here we go.
Well, maybe not. Maybe
On
not.
Memorial Day, Barry was at home eating dinner with his parents, talking about his plans to go to Europe with his frat buddies. But so my note here, when the way he was talking about it, he's like, oh yeah, we're just going to go bum around Europe.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you want to sell Europe to your parents,
That's
don't
not how you-
describe it like that.
That's not how you do it. You're
No, I
like,
say-
Mom, we found some very nice hotels.
It's a culturally enriching experience.
There's lots of groups that we can be a part of and join, and they will give us tours. And
It
we can
looks
learn
great
so much
on
historic.
my resume.
Yeah. So, a football player who's got this historical experience and cultural experience.
Yeah, come on.
He's into any college.
Yeah. Well, he's in college, but it'll help you get jobs.
But here's this is gonna say, if this was high school.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in college, so yeah, he's not doing too good.
So, but his mom is questioning the plans he was making. He got back to the frat house and saw a photo of Helen. He thinks about how it used to matter, but now he really looks at it. However, it was a nice showpiece. I was like, dirt bag.
That's kind of yucky.
Gross. He never thought it would be a relationship or even go past high school. They had talked about marriage, but he was not interested and didn't want to be tied down with kids.
Boo.
Soon the phone rings.
Talk to her then, bro.
Yeah, use your words. Like, we're not toddlers. So the phone rings, and it's for Barry. Everyone jokes that it's another girl, and they want info about his tricks to get all the ladies.
Gross.
After the phone call, Barry left the frat, walked across campus, and onto the athletic field. All of a sudden, a flashlight flashed in his eyes, and he was shot in the stomach.
Yikes.
But no one heard it because of the fireworks. Everyone found out about it. Barry had been found by a security guard and taken to the hospital. People were questioned, but no one in the area saw or heard anything. His frat brother said he was making plans with someone on the phone before he left. Plans with another girl.
Boo.
Ray called the hospital and was told Barry was in surgery. He called the Cox home, but no answer.
That's Barry's last name if I didn't say that before.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
Who? He then called Julie. Helen learned about the shooting while she was at work at the news station. Yeah, the newscaster read the story, and then Helen had to read the news.
No, she had to read the weather. Sorry.
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
Collie heard the news on TV and drove up to the station to see Helen. She was a mess, but he tells her to wash her face, and they drove her to the hospital. He asked her if Barry had any enemies, and Helen says no, everyone loves Barry.
Do they?
Maybe. When they got to the hospital, Helen received a cold reception from Mrs. Cox, which is not unusual, because it was a call from Helen that dragged Barry out.
Yeah, the mom does not like Helen.
No.
And I'm like, if anyone should be mad about anything in this relationship, it might be Helen's family. But
Yeah. Well, I think she sees Helen as, like, she basically stopped short of calling her a gold digger because Barry has money and she doesn't. It's
well,
like,
she does now because she's Channel 5's future star.
Yes. Wow.
She has her own money. She has an apartment.
That's not good enough for Mama Cox, apparently. Holly takes her home where Helen manages to get some sleep. When Julie tells her mom she can't believe the fireworks were going on because of the war demonstration taking place on campus.
Yeah, so the mom's like, why were there fireworks? There was like a war demonstration. I was like, a war demonstration? Sounds like Vietnam.
Yes.
I would say like protest or something like I think there's some different language there. Yeah. So after the night, Helen woke up upset that she had slept while Barry was in the hospital. The night before starts to come back to her, including the hatred from Mrs. Cox. But Helen didn't call Barry, so is he seeing another woman? Alysa even told Helen the night of the accident a year ago that Barry was going to leave her one day, that he didn't love her. Because she came home crying after the night, and so Alysa was getting on her sister's case.
Yeah, she assumed something Barry had done.
Yeah, something Barry had done. So Helen calls the hospital and was told that Barry was resting comfortably, and then there was a knock on her door. Collie stopped by to see how she was doing. He asked if anything has come up about what happened. Nope, there's no enemies, no drugs. Then what happened? Was he into something shady? What's shadier than drugs?
I don't...
Oh, hitting a 10-year-old boy on a bike and driving away? Maybe that's what it was. Helen tells him she doesn't want to talk about it, so he tells her to get some sleep, and he leaves. These are a little bit longer, so I'll keep going.
Okay.
After school, Julie finds Ray waiting for her, just like old times. He's driving his dad's car because after the accident, he and Barry hammered out the debt and they got rid of the car. So when he went to California, he didn't have a car. He must have just flew out there, and then he was there, and then he flew back. They decide to go somewhere to talk, but places in town are busy, so they go back to the picnic place where they were the night of the accident, which Julie does not want to do. And she's like, well, there's no other option. And I was, when I was reading it, I was like, go to a parking lot and sit in the car and talk. Like, why do you have to go?
Yeah.
I was like, why? Okay. He asked her about a year ago, and she doesn't want to talk about it. And he says it's not good to push it down because it's like gets all built up, and they're not talking about it. And they start talking about Barry. Julie believes he was shot during the war demonstration, as her and her mom had said. But Ray says it was a peaceful demonstration, that there was no unrest or anything like that. So Julie asks, do you think he was shot deliberately? Julie received the note. Helen received the magazine image. Ray received the clipping. And Ray says, and Barry received a bullet. And I was like, oh, snap! Wow. That really escalated. You got a note. You got a magazine. They're like collaging.
We're just making one of those like murder walls.
A vision board.
Connect the wires to the things. Yeah.
But that's not, but Barry got shot, so yikes. They try to figure out whether or not it was Helen who called Barry, though. But they don't think Helen would do anything like that she would have anything to do with what happened to him. But maybe someone who hates him and is raging about the accident, but who would want to hurt them? And so they think of Daniel's parents. Julie demands to see the news clipping to get the family address and tells Ray to drive her over there. Like, why? No. But what she wants to do is go and talk to the parents. Yeah. And then if they don't recognize her, her reasoning is they don't know who they are. Yeah. Yeah, that they're safe. So they pretend like their car is broken down, and they go and knock on the door. The only person home was Daniel's half-sister. While Ray is calling for help, which the girl, the sister, I mean, she's older. Yeah. But she's just like, yeah, sure, come on in. 2010, I ain't letting anybody in my house.
I was going to say, like, in the 70s, maybe that's why so many people got freaking abducted. They're just letting strangers in their house. Oh, sure, you can borrow some sugar, use my phone. Like, fine.
Yeah, no, that's like, no.
Also, if we're playing into the cell phones thing, why did they go to her house for help?
Yeah. Like, I think they said that their phones died.
Oh, okay. I was like, there was an explanation there. So.
But, like, seriously, when people knock on my door, I'm like, what are you doing?
I'm not expecting a person or food. So, like, no.
Claire usually texts when she comes to record, here. And so not to knock, even though I know you're coming, but not to knock because the cats, the cats are freaked. They're just But there was one time during election season where like every day people were knocking on my door, and I would just sit on my couch that faces the window, just stare and people were walking by and stuff, and I was like, the window's open, TV's on. I'm like, I'm not answering.
That's what I do with the Jehovah's Witnesses when they come by.
I'm like, listen. I don't care what your political or religious or affiliation is or anything. I'm not opening the door for anyone.
No. Yeah, we don't discriminate against anybody.
It's
I will
just
not
no
open
one's
if I'm not
coming in.
expecting you.
So I think that's a huge difference as well, as like that Megan, the sister, is so welcoming to let them in. And I was like, But she was like behind the house, so she comes around to see them.
Yeah.
And so it's not like she opened her door per se, but like the door was already open so they could see inside the house. And I was like, Megan girl.
People are too trusting.
Yeah, I was like, what are we doing? So anyway, their phones died. She lets them in. She makes them iced tea. And when Ray is calling for help, they're back outside. And Julie talks to Megan as she's helping her put up laundry. That's the other thing. I'm like, how often do people do that? I mean, I think people still do that, but not as often.
People in the UK do it all the time. Like, half of them don't have dryers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and it's also like thinking about the electricity. Like the,
Is this in the South? Where is this set?
You know, I'm not sure.
It was ambiguous. Like, I wasn't really sure the whole time I was reading
movie is like the North Carolina area, because I think it was directed or produced by Kevin Williamson, who has connections to North Carolina. He's also the one behind Scream.
Yeah.
And so that's probably why this movie came out in the same style as Scream, which we'll talk about later.
Got it.
So I think it's North Carolina, but I could be wrong if I'm relying on...
It seems like a North Carolina thing to do, hang laundry outside a little bit. Because it's warmer down there and nicer.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean...
like, she's in school and stuff like that, but it's almost out because it's been almost like a year since it's happened.
It's like May, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. See, just
got this.
Figure it out. We'll have more control when we work on our fan fiction, don't worry. So the girl doesn't recognize him, so Julie's like, sweet, it wasn't her who sent it. But she does learn a lot of unfortunate news. Daniel, who's the boy who died in the hit and run, his mom is not well and is away at a hospital a couple hours away. Her dad is with the mom taking care of her, so in a way it's like the parents have an alibi. The mom blamed herself for Daniel's death because Daniel had called for her to come pick him up, but she said no. And so then at some point he decided to come home because he didn't want to be there anymore. And so Megan is saying that the mom blamed her. I wonder if the family also, who's not included in this book in any way, is like the house he was at, his friend and that family, if they would have some difficulty managing the grief and that sort of thing. Yeah. Oh man, now the suspects are just adding up. Okay. Ray joins them and says they should probably stay by the car because they're coming to get help. And so they leave. And so then as they're walking back to the car, Julie tells them that Megan is by herself. But Ray said, but that doesn't make sense. There's men's laundry hanging up and there seems to be fresh paint in the house. Did Megan do all that? Like, she seems really short to be able to do the painting. And so apparently Ray hasn't heard of ladders.
Yeah.
Or he's never heard of, like, women wearing men's clothing because it's more comfortable.
It has actual pockets.
Not those fake bullshit pockets.
Or they sew them shut for you, too.
Yeah, they
so
sew
has to
our
lie flat in the store. I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to have to rip open a pocket.
Where am I supposed to put my stuff? Oh, you have to carry a big-ass purse.
Yeah, you're allowed to have one chapstick in your pocket at any time. That's all it holds.
Depending on your chapstick, too. So if you get those round ones...
yeah. Good luck.
Good luck. Well, so Julie's like, well, it wasn't the parents, but Ray isn't so sure.
So Ray and Julie drive to Helen's apartment, but Elsa is there. Elsa meets Ray for the first time.
I don't like Elsa. Yeah, she's mean.
Yeah, my description of Elsa in my book was, like, not very kind to her, though. Like, she's, like, plump and dumpy. And I was like, that's so sad. Like, leave her alone.
Same in my version. Like, it's like she is not like Helen in any way. Yeah. And there might be more expectations for her to do work but she seems really just sort of mad, bitter, envious, etc. So... Poor Elsa.
Yeah. So Elsa meets Ray, insults Julie about how she looks.
Told you
Julie
that was the
keeps getting dragged. Like, leave her alone.
Oh, man.
And she gets on Helen's case. So when she finally leaves, Helen is relieved.
She's like, get out of here.
Yeah. They asked if Helen had visited Barry, but it's family-only visitors. And even more, Mrs. Cox is angry with Helen. She didn't make the call.
Yeah, so, like, she did not make the call. But
She was at work.
The mom is still, like...
Insisting,
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the narrative that she wants to buy into.
Yes,
Makes her feel better.
Because she doesn't like her.
Yeah. Oh, it's an excuse to get rid of her. Like, she called you. She got you shot. Like, bye. So Julie doesn't...
Even if she did, it's not like she did it on purpose.
No.
Anywho.
Right.
Or did she?
Julie doesn't think it was anyone from the Gregg family. So who's the one that lured Barry to the athletic field?
Oh, so many options.
Yes. Helen can't imagine anyone hurting Barry. Not my Barry.
He doesn't have an enemy in the world.
Oh, you can add me to the list.
Claire is now a suspect.
I won't shoot him, but, like, I don't like him.
Our fan fiction is going to be autobiographical.
This is just everyone hates Barry.
Everyone hates Barry except for Ray and Helen. And Mrs. Cox.
Yes. He doesn't have an enemy in the world. Ray thinks they should go to the police, but Helen is concerned about getting rid of the pact without talking to Barry. Well, of course Barry's going to want to keep the pact.
Yeah, she knows what's up.
Yeah.
See, she's defending him, so she didn't have anything to do with it.
Get yourself a better boyfriend. Ray offers to call the Cox family to see who made the call and see how Barry is doing. He's going to survive, but Barry may be paralyzed from the waist down.
That's too bad.
Yeah. Ray asks to see Barry, but Mr. Cox says no. So he asks who called Barry, and Mr. Cox said Barry told him that it was Helen.
Barry said it was Helen.
Covering his own butt. Could someone have pretending to be Helen when they called? Maybe Alysa?
Oh, that's true.
She's so envious of Helen. Okay. Julie thinks that it could be a possibility because when she met Alysa for the first time, she was awful to Helen. Ray drops Julie off at her house and tells her to be careful. Someone shot Barry, and they've all received other warnings.
Those mom... vision board clippings.
Yeah, right? Scrapbook. Her mom is home baking bread.
Told you.
Yep, always baking. She tells Julie that she's glad Ray is back, and he seems older. They kept commenting in mind how he had a beard, and like everyone doesn't like the beard, and it's like...
Well, the thing is, if it came out now, everyone would love the beard.
Oh,
People are into beards right now. I mean,
Yes.
beards are a whole thing.
They are a thing. Well, now they're more well-kept because you get, like, the beard oil, so, like, they're nicer than, like, scraggly beards in, like, the 70s.
Yeah. Get it together, 70s guys.
Get your grooming on. Let's go. Julie asks her mom about Bud, who is older. She says, there's older than there's older. Sorry, Bud. Julie's mom's not having it.
Sorry, Buddo. Okay. So Ray sneaks into Barry's hospital room. Like, Ray's not messing around anymore. We need to know what is up. But Barry's not doing well. He hasn't been able to feel his legs. And although no one has told him that he's paralyzed, he kind of knows, and he's super depressed and sort of raging. He's mad at Ray for being able to walk. He's mad at Helen for coming to the hospital with Collie, and his mom is the one who told him that. And so, here, can we pause for a second? He is so mad that Helen came with her new friend Collie to the hospital.
Yeah.
And he's basically, like, trashes her for it. But he was seeing other girls, talking to other girls,
he didn't want to be with
out
Helen anyway.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't want to be tied down. And so, but it could be, like, all these things that he had going for him seem like they're going away because of the shooting. And so he's obviously just not in a good place. He was even mad at his mom for being annoying. He's just mad at everything.
Also, his mom is, like, already the manipulative mother-in-law who's, like, trying to spin it so, like, Helen is always the bad person in the picture. And I'm like, don't play this game.
I think it's that, like, no one will ever be good enough
for my
Barry.
boy.
Yeah. And I think that, as we might talk about in a little bit, I think that Barry's mom is in some way weirdly happy that her son will be coming home and he'll be in the house because he's paralyzed and won't be able to get around. And I found that to be really
it's a little gross.
Yucky. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to be like, I'm so glad my son's going to be home for the summer, or he's coming home for the holidays. I'm so glad he's going to be here because now he's paralyzed.
I can take care of him like he's supposed to be taken care of.
Well,
and it's like,
maybe do that, but not have the paralyzed part. How about that? So Ray asked about the call, and Barry said it wasn't Helen. He told his dad that it was because it was easier, and he says it was another girl he's been talking to, and that the shooting was about being robbed, and that he was robbed of $50. So here he is mad at Helen, And so he's like, it was another girl. Now go tell Helen. Because he's like, I wish I could be there to see her reaction. Yuck. Barry gets really worked up during the meeting and refuses to end the pact. And I can understand him being upset no matter who he is or what he's like, that one moment you're fine and then you wake up and you can't feel your legs.
Yeah.
That's got to be like the worst feeling.
I just think of Friday Night Lights.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
So good. They just took it off Netflix. I'm so mad. Oh. Yeah, that was my comfort show. I was not amused.
Friday Night Lights, the TV show, so good.
Connie Britton just kills it.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Taylor.
Oh, stop. I love Coach Taylor. All right.
Saracen. Okay, we'll just list characters. So like
different Friday. We'll have a Friday Night Lights episode maybe.
Yeah. Well, there is a book, but it isn't based on those characters.
No.
Because it's like based on real life. And then there was a movie with Billy Bob Thornton as the coach, and then the TV show came out.
Yes.
And I would say out of all three, the TV show is the jam.
So good.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Ray leaves and Barry continues to think about everything. The call was from a friend saying that they had photos of the accident, and if he came out to the field, he could buy the photos and the negatives. So 2 thoughts. Number 1, he just lied to his best friend. Mm-hmm. He said that it was a girl, but it was actually someone, quote unquote, saying that they're a friend and that they had proof that they hit the boy and that they took pictures. And so Barry questions the quote-unquote friend about the camera use and that sort of thing, but he still goes out. Yeah. And that's who he gets shot by. Mm-hmm. But second point, negatives, what year is it? Are you using?
There was a comment in mine that said, like, Barry's like, you can't take pictures at nighttime. I was like, you can't take pictures at nighttime? What? Like, 1973, what's going on? Like, do you not have flash on your cameras?
I don't. Well, Barry, I wouldn't say is
the brightest.
He's not as bright as that as the bulb on the camera that makes a flash. He said he got flashed by a flashlight, but maybe the guy took
his photo.
Yeah, the friend took a photo. Okay. Again, he gets worked up about everything, thinking about Ray, Helen, and Julie, and the tears come, which is really sad because he's just having a really frustrating moment. So when Ray left, he felt relief about the call and that the shooting didn't seem to be connected to the accident, or so he thinks. As he leaves, Bud comes up to him and asks him to get coffee. So Bud, Julie's current dating partner, is like, hey, I've met you. You're Ray. You're my girl's like ex. Yeah, so let's go get some coffee. And I was like, really?
Normal.
They go, and Bud seems dead set on learning all sorts of things about Ray. Not answering any of Ray's questions, and then saying before he left that Julie would not be going to Smith. And Ray was like, she's gonna go. And he's like, no, because I can be very persuasive, and she's going to listen to me. But as Ray left, he thought, there's no way Bud would get Julie as, like, the end partnership. At least not if Ray had anything to do with it. So Ray doesn't want Julie to end up with Bud. Yeah. Because that's, like, the first time, like, Bud shows kind of, like...
weird possessive behavior.
Like, he's, like, fronting with this guy. Like, they're, like, puff chest kind of things.
Right.
So...
yeah. So moving back to Helen, she was heading down to the pool with Collie when her phone rang. She sends Collie down ahead of her and talks to Ray about his visit with Barry. No worry about getting shot at, but it's fine.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
But Barry is not in a good spot and he needs his space, so don't go in for a visit.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah. She seems relieved when she heads down to the pool. Some of the girls by the pool give Helen trouble about being friends with Collie because she's got a boyfriend.
Or does she?
Well, she's got someone.
Yeah.
But Helen can't help it if he has a crush on her. They're just friends.
Just friends. Ugh.
I know. Your least favorite sentence.
Yeah, exactly.
Collie challenges Helen to a swim, and after they swim, they're chatting. Helen seems to enjoy his attention, even though Barry is her boyfriend. But then Collie says he's got to go because he's got a date tonight.
What?
Helen is surprised, and they get into a spat, essentially, because Collie says Helen is only about getting attention and never asking him anything or listening to any of his answers.
Yikes.
So she's self-centered. She thinks he's making her self-centered, and he's like, you said it, not me.
Yeah.
The girls and the others at the pool can hear and are laughing.
That's so rude.
Collie leaves, and Helen is humiliated, so she swims longer to get out the anchor.
So it seems like she saw Collie as a friend, but also kind of enjoyed the attention. And he was like, it's only been a couple weeks and he's already like, over it.
Yeah. It's all about you and I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
So on this day, Julie's mom feels like something is wrong, much like the feeling she had the day Julie broke her arm when she was a kid and on the day her husband died. So it's like having some sort of like premonitions.
I like her weird witchy vibes. I'm about it. Bacon bread, having premonitions. She should have a side like plot. I like that.
We can fanfic that up too. She tries to tell herself that she's just having the feelings because Julie's leaving for college, and so it's like the empty nest syndrome, and that nothing is wrong. Meanwhile, the Rivers family, that's Helen's family, is eating dinner and getting on Elsa's case because of how badly she talks about and treats Helen. And the Cox family is concerned about Barry, knowing that he's likely to be paralyzed. Barry's mom seems pleased he'll be coming home and staying with them, but Mr. Cox tells his wife that if he is paralyzed, it doesn't mean Barry's life is over. So this is the point where Mrs. Cox is like so excited that he's coming home, and the dad's like, just even if he is paralyzed, this doesn't mean that he can't live a full life, right?
On his own and be independent.
Yeah. So then Helen's phone was ringing, but she didn't answer. Someone had entered her apartment easily and was waiting for her to return. Maybe Julie's mom is right. Something bad is about to happen.
Helen could hear her phone ringing, but when she entered, it stopped. She seemed relieved, perhaps missing a call from Elsa. The person
seriously.
waiting in the apartment says, "Do you usually leave your apartment open?"
This is why we don't open the door to anyone. And you always lock your doors.
Yes.
Always lock your doors. Always lock your doors.
Yes. Helen panics and turns around. "Oh, Collie, you scared me to death. What are you doing here?" He says he's been waiting for her and that he'd like to tell her about his date.
That's weird.
"You left and told me you didn't want to talk to me anymore, so now why are you here? You could have told me about the date when we were in the pool."
Yeah, exactly. In public with other people around.
Yes. Helen doesn't want to hear it because they have no strings attached, but Collie is adamant because he wants her to know he's going to kill his date tonight.
What?
Casual.
Super
Okay.
cash.
Yeah.
Helen
Helen
thinks, pass the salt and
Yeah.
I'm going to kill him one day. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Helen thinks he's joking, but he says death is no joke, whether by grenade or running over a kid with a car.
Oh, snap.
How did he know? Who told him? Nobody. Nobody told him that Daniel Gregg died. So that he returned from Iraq, he had to do a lot of research. He learned a little from his parents, except the 911 call said, "We hit him." So he knew there was more than one person in the car. And so many people showed up to the funeral. In fact, his dad told him about the yellow roses they received. So he went to the flower shop and found that Julie had sent them, making a mockery of Daniel's death.
Yikes.
So to be sure, he sent Julie the note, and when she brought him to Helen, and he followed Barry home, and he met Ray at Julie's.
Uh-oh.
It all came together. The family was destroyed, and these four teens. Barry's still alive, Claire. There's still four of them.
What happened to Barry?
These 4 teens who killed his brother were living their best lives, so they must die.
He's the half brother.
That was actually my prediction when I was in my notes.
Oh, good
Like
for
way
you.
back, what chapter was that? It was like chapter 8. I predicted that.
Wow, halfway
Yeah.
through the book.
Yeah. I've watched enough TV. He shot Barry, and he's going to take care of the rest of them. Helen runs and locks herself in the bathroom, trying to figure out what to do, and she realizes that Barry had lied about the call and the shooting. But why? Did he lie about loving her too?
This is not the time
We're
to worry
just
about it.
reaching this revelation? It was quiet outside of the door, and she realized that Collie had taken the door off the hinges.
He's going to take
he was going
He's
to.
doing it.
Yeah,
He's like in
the
motion.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Helen breaks a small window, crawls out, and jumps out the window.
Jumps out the window.
She's a
first?
second-story apartment.
Yeah.
Oof.
No thanks. But sometimes you do what you gotta do.
Yep.
So back at Julie's house, her mom does not want her to go out with Bud because Julie they're going to see a movie. Julie tells her mom not to worry about her premonition, that she's fine. They're just going to see a movie. Besides, she can't call him because he just moved into a new place and the phone wasn't installed yet.
No cell phone.
Hello, cell phone. Her mom offers to call Helen and have her go down and check in with Bud, but Julie says he probably left already. The phone doesn't work at their house, and her cell phone is in Ray's cars. You know, considering that they do have cell phones, there seems to be a lot of issues with phones in this particular movie.
There's some plot holes regarding phones.
Yeah. She wondered why she even dated Bud. It was an easy meeting at the library, and it was easier to say yes to dates than no. Ugh. The doorbell rings. When Julie sees her mom's face, she says, okay, I won't go. Julie tells him that she's decided that she'd rather not see a movie that night, but he could stay for cake and TV. But Bud gets mad because she had promised to go, and she promised to go out tonight. And he's like, why are you getting so weird about the movie, Bud? Jeez. Bud looks intense and dark, so Julie was glad that she told her mom she wouldn't go. Bud blames it on Ray, saying that, she wants to get back with her boyfriend, and she's like, no, that's not it. She's brushing him off, he says, so at least she could do is walk him to his car. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't go outside your house. I don't know what you did last summer.
Weird vibes. Listen.
Yeah, sorry.
Don't do it.
I'm so nervous that I'm saying no. Okay. Julie thought this is crazy. Why is Bud, good old Collingsworth Wilson, acting like this? Dun dun dun.
Here's my thing. Helen told Julie about Collie, and Julie did not connect the dots. Like, how many men named Collie do you know?
Well, I don't know if did she call him by his name?
I think she said Collie in my version, but I don't know if Julie knows him as Collie or just Bud.
Bud, yeah. And so it knows him as Collingsworth Wilson, but she calls him Bud. So that is like, not only is it, I think, a plot twist, even though you figured it out, that Collie is the half-brother, but then you realize that both Helen and Julie are him. Yes, exactly. And that he's has a double identity. Yeah. Well, a triple identity, technically. He's Collingsworth, he's Bud, and he's the brother. Yeah. So, because if that's his actual name, his dad. Because the last name is Greg. So.
Yeah, and his half-sister's name is Megan. So, Collingsworth and Megan.
It's a family name.
Gosh.
So she walks out with him, and he says they should talk in the car. And she's like, no, we can talk here. So, yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, never get in a car. Never go to a second location. She walks him out, and he says that... Oh, wait, I already said that. He talks about his little brother, and Julie says she's going in because her mom isn't feeling well. And Bud is like, my mom is way worse, and I have an account to settle with the four of you, especially you who sent the flowers. He puts his hands on her neck, and she's like, in her head, like, he is going to murder me. And she falls into heavy blackness. She wakes up with Ray over her head, like over her, saying, Bud won't hurt her. He won't hurt you. He won't hurt you. Mm-hmm. Ray had actually shown up and clobbered Bud with a flashlight. Or maybe a flash from a camera. I don't know.
Oh, I think he'd, like, hit him over the head with a flashlight.
Yeah, really, I know. I was trying to make a joke back to Barry, but it didn't work. It didn't land. It's fine. It's okay. It didn't land. Julie's mom is like, it seems crazy that Bud would come after you for no reason. But there was a reason. How did Ray know? Barry called him to say he's releasing them from the pack because they were all in danger. So maybe he kind of got through sort of his issues. He tried to call Helen and her, but no answer. Then Ray remembered when he met Bud for coffee, he had yellow paint on his hands, just like at the Gregg house. The police and the ambulance showed up. They say a girl jumped out of an apartment window, lost consciousness, and then told them when she came to that there might be trouble here at this house. Ray says, yes, but it started a year ago, and we'd like to tell you what happened.
Oh, is that how yours ended? Mine ended with, like, his declaration of love to Julie.
Oh, wait, let's see.
Because I was like, that is a weird ending, but all right.
No, I was reading that she typically ends as close as she can after the climax.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, okay, this is what he says. Why is it that Bud never tried to do anything to you? He did, Ray said softly. Tonight. His arm tied around her, and he said, he knew the worst punishment for me would be to stay alive in a world that didn't have you in it, end quote.
Yeah, mine's basically the same.
Okay, so he did.
Okay. I was like, wow. Your ending's so different.
But then it's like, and we're done.
End scene.
And scene. So that is I Know What You Did Last Summer. And so my question to you is, what do you think? What did you think of the book?
I like thrillers, so it was a good time. I hadn't read a thriller in a while, so I was like, oh, all right. And I like trying to puzzle it together. Yeah, that's my favorite part.
And you were like, I knew it, my chapter.
I got it.
She was showing off. Ferguson, who's laying right here, goes, Claire, no one likes to show off.
Okay, Ferguson.
So what did you think in terms of the friendship that we saw in this particular book?
I think the friendship between the males was actually stronger than the ones between the girls, because Helen kept saying over and over, she's like, oh, I'm not typically friends with girls, which is something like, it's one of my biggest pet peeves when girls are like, I can't be friends with other girls because they're too much drama. I'm like, have you met a boy? Like, ever?
Have you met Barry? Because he caused all of this.
Yes, this is his fault.
Yeah. Or that he's so influential that everyone feels like they have to go along with him.
Right.
Because, quote unquote, he's so likable or whatever.
Yeah. Sure, likable. Heavy air quotes.
Mrs. Cox likes him a lot.
Everyone's mother loves them, I would hope.
True. But yeah, I would say that. I would think that they became friends because he tutored athletes. So him and Barry were friends. And then, Barry started dating Helen, and then he started dating Julie, so it was like the four came together.
Yeah, the girlfriends are friend by proxy. Like, we're not really friends, but our boyfriends are friends.
Which is why probably that Barry sort of won out in this situation than Julie or Helen, because they had a relationship that was longer.
Yeah.
And so I think that plays a huge role, because they keep defending. Like, it's no surprise that Helen would defend her boyfriend. Right. She's least attached to the other two people. And that the person who seems to be in a bad spot is Ray. Like, he's in a tight spot. But he goes with Barry, and then his relationship with Julie was essentially, like, that's
sacrificed for that, yeah. Because he'd known Barry longer, so he's like, I'm going to side with my friend over you.
Which, I have to say two things. Is this, like, one of the first times that someone chooses their friend over their romantic partner?
I think so.
Which, that's amazing, but maybe not in this scenario.
You didn't make the right choice.
This is not the context in which to be like, I'm going to go with my best friend.
Like,
so
morally not great, but, like, you did okay, like, in terms of, like, valuing your friendship.
But, yeah, I think that, it's kind of refreshing to see, like, oh, you're going to choose their friend, but maybe this wasn't the friend to choose over.
Yeah.
And this is definitely not the situation to choose it. And I think that this is a horrendous accident. I think you're exactly right that the punishment would be lessened had they admitted to it or gone to the police right away and talked about it. And maybe they would have got the boy help in time and he would have survived. Yeah. That's the other thing. Barry told him to wait. And then he listened to him, and that time that he waited could have been, it was extremely crucial.
Yeah, because it was late. It's not like another motorist is going to come by. Like, likely, it seemed like it was a pretty, like, rural area. Yeah, so
it's mountainy area.
No one would have found him that fast. They weren't expecting him home. Like, if they had stopped, the bear's like, oh, we're not doctors. It's like, you still could have done something. Wrap a kid up in a blanket.
Most people aren't doctors, but they still try to help other people. Yeah. Right? Like, I think that it's just like this idea that him especially, it seems like individually he is very into himself, and like Kali even says that Helen is self-centered. Now I wouldn't necessarily agree with someone who shot someone and side and say that he knows, but that's sort of the vibe that you get is sort of in the sense that Barry and Helen are kind of like, I don't want to say bad, but like out of the four, like the bad couple that are maybe more superficial and more concerned about how they look and what they look like to other people and what their life is going to be like. Whereas like Julie and Ray seem more concerned about others and that sort of thing. And so I don't think it's just like one is good and one is bad. I think there is like a balance of good people can make bad decisions, bad people can make good decisions, and that we're not all good or bad. We're both good and bad. Yeah. And so, but I think that's sort of how you see them. And then Ray just makes the wrong decision on that day. Yeah. So what are your thoughts about friends making pacts?
If you want to like be like friendship pacts, like I'm thinking like Anne and oh my gosh.
Are you talking about Anne and Green Gables? Anne and Diana.
Diana, thank you.
She's on the...
I know, I was looking at her.
She's at the wall behind me.
I know who she is. But yeah, like Anne and Diana, like they promised to be friends forever. Like if you want to be like promised like, oh yeah, we'll be friends instead of like, let's conceal a murder. Yeah. Like that's good. Like that's a good pact to have. Like you promise to stay true to each other and be friends.
Yeah. But, there seems like, let's have a pact to, work hard and be motivated, but we just keep it to ourselves. I don't know why people would do that, but it just is like, there's probably healthy pacts, but overall pacts are probably not
the best.
A good thing. Like, the first thing I think of besides this is, like, the pregnancy pact, which is a Lifetime movie where it just is like, it seems like then the group of people together feel pressured into going in a certain way. And then you could see how much it had impacted Ray and Julie. Like, Julie quit cheerleading. She quit all of her extracurricular activities. She didn't look the same because everyone told her, like, she had lost weight and just looked like she was ill. And was doing everything she could to get out of there. So maybe her future would have been planned differently, but now she's just so concerned about running away so she doesn't have to be anywhere near it. Yeah. And then Ray left and then came back, I think, when he had sort of processed through it. Yeah. But I also think it's interesting timing that he would come back right when she gets the note. And so I'm like...
Is he involved?
Yeah, like, in some ways, like, I don't think in the book they do that, but I think they could have very well made him, like, a suspect to get them to undo the pact.
Yes.
But in this case, it was, like, revenge. And really, I think it's also horrible. Like, I mean, Daniel Craig died. He shouldn't have. Or if he was going to, that they at least try to do the best they can because it was an accident. They shouldn't have been drinking or smoking pot. Yeah. Barry drives too fast. Yeah. So there are some elements that... make it worse. But I can't believe that his parents didn't tell him that his younger brother had died.
Yeah, especially for in the age of cell phones. Yeah, where it's like you can internet. Get him, like, information about that. Like, you get, like, a leave and come home. Even if you're overseas, like, your brother died. Like, you can go home and at least grieve with your family and stuff. Like,
and I think that sometimes people don't want to tell their kids that things are happening when they're away.
My parents have pulled that before. Not gonna lie, they've pulled that.
And so it's like, but I think when it comes down to it, people would prefer to know what was going on than in this case. It's almost like he even says, like, Iraq made me not okay. Yeah. And so he has maybe some PTSD and coming back to find out that his little brother was killed by these 4 teenagers who seemed to be living this great life. And that really has just sort of made it all worse for him, and then sort of went into this escalation of this very dangerous revenge where he could have killed Barry. He was trying to kill Julie. And I think that's interesting too, because she bought the yellow flowers not to make a mockery.
No, because she felt bad.
Because she felt bad.
She wanted to do something. It was a gesture of, like, I recognize, like, what happened here.
So in a way, it feels like that he was more concerned about Barry and Julie than anyone else.
Yeah, that's true.
But that he needed to take care of all of them. But Barry was shot first. He was the driver. Yeah. And then Julie was the next sort of... Someone like, Helen was going to get to Julie... Right. And maybe he intended to kill Helen that night, but she jumped out the window.
Yeah. And he had ample opportunity to kill Helen that whole time, because, like, he lives in that same apartment building. So, like, he waited and waited and waited. Which makes sense, I guess, because, like, he wanted to take Barry out first. But
or maybe there's some pleasure in the planning.
Yeah. I'm not a murderer. I wouldn't know.
That's not my... It's just... on Fatalities, the true crime podcast that I host, I was just talking with my friend Crystal about the case of Leopold and Loeb, who murdered a young boy just because they could, and, like, a thrill kill and that sort of thing. Yeah. And that a lot of times serial killers are described as thrill killers because they enjoy, like, the process and the hunting of the stalking of the victims and that sort of thing. So maybe there's some level of joy in that, but you wonder if, like, what he was like before he went to war, and if it was just, like, seeing people get murdered in front of him that really sort of changed his view on everything. Yeah. But... yeah, I thought that was interesting. I was like, why is he going so hard on Julie?
Yeah. I think it was just, like, he was focusing on, like, the direct actions of people. Because, like, Barry, like, obviously hit the boy, and then Julie sent flowers. Like, the other two didn't do anything directly to, like, an action. Like, they were there, and they were, like, accomplices, obviously, and they covered it up. But they didn't do anything to directly impact the family.
And Ray wasn't there until he met him at Julie's house.
Yeah.
You know, when he came to pick her up for the date. So he probably didn't even know that he would even be an option.
Yeah, I think they should have played it as, like, something lured Ray home. Yeah. Like, they should have played it like he sent him something in California somehow or whatever.
Yeah,
and,
that would have been interesting.
Yeah, like, this is why Ray came home, because he felt, like, this danger for everybody. He's like, I got this weird letter, like, I needed to come back. And that would have been interesting.
Well, don't worry. We have a chance to write our own version.
Yes.
But I think like the key part to the friendship aspect of this book is that really no one seems to be that great of friends.
No. Yeah.
And so it's like even Barry and Ray seem weird. Like I think Barry takes advantage of Ray and things like that. And so it just doesn't feel like the best friendship to begin with. And then the girls aren't really that friends. It's like
they're friends of convenience almost because like their boyfriends spend so much time together. So like, oh, we might as well hang out too.
And then it's like this horrific thing that binds them all together. Yes. And that maybe if they were actually closer friends, they might have made a better decision. Or do you think like if they're such good friends, it would have been even harder and that it would have been the pack that would have gone?
I think they would have had more influence over each other, like in terms of like Julie having more pull in that relationship. Like if like Barry valued her more as a friend in her opinion, maybe he would have been swayed to potentially like by her and Ray to like go back and like talk to the police and like sort it out versus like covering it up. I feel like he had like the social influence because like he's a popular golden boy, whatever. He had that kind of power over the situation, not really the power of like the value of the relationship.
Yeah, and so there is this level of influence, and you wonder if Helen and Julie were better friends, if, like, Helen might have sided with Julie.
Yeah.
And that there might have been, if she's more trusting of girls, because maybe that's why she sided with Barry, is because for her, relationships with her boyfriend or with men are more important than any friendships with any of the girls, which I think it kind of showcases when she's at the pool and there's all these other girls and stuff like that, and she's like, well, me and Kelly are friends. It's like one of those things where she's more concerned about making new friendships with guys when she has a boyfriend versus becoming friends with her neighbors that she might actually have friendships with.
Yeah.
And so in a way, they all four seem really lonely.
Yeah.
Like Ray went off and Julie broke up with him. Who's Julie? She hadn't seen Helen or Barry.
Yeah, she quit cheer too.
Yeah. The only two people that seen each other were Barry and Helen.
But barely, right?
Yeah. And so it's like, and she doesn't get, Helen doesn't get along with her sister. They don't have any other friends. And so it's almost in a sense that this particular event cut off their ability to connect with anyone else.
Yeah, because it looms over them. There's so much pressure on them to just keep this secret that they feel like they can't let anyone else in because they might just reveal it. Like Julie struggles with it with her mom all the time.
She wants to tell her mom,
but she can't.
Well, and that's the thing is like, that's why I think it's important to talk about secrets because like they created this together, but I also think that, we don't hear about people making pacts every day. Like if I have information I tell you and I say, Claire, just don't tell anyone else, I'm trusting you with this, that isn't a pact per se.
No.
It's more like if you're my friend, you'll keep that confidence.
Yeah.
But if it's something that was going to hurt me, you would probably figure out a way to help me.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is like, there is fear of other people, like Barry, for example, can be intimidating. And so there's fear of what he'll do. And you know what he could have done if they went to the police? He could have said that Ray was driving.
Yeah.
And how do you prove it? It's Ray's car.
Right.
And then it's Helen and Barry against Ray and Julie. So it could have like...
It could have spiraled.
It could have been spiraled in other ways. And I think that when you think about teenagers making these pacts that obviously they're not fully developed, there is more peer pressure perhaps. People are trying to figure out who they are and what they're going to do and what life is going to be like, and handling all this grief and shame and guilt and all these things while still trying to manage the life that they're still supposed to be living. And so a lot of times I think that just shows that secrets aren't always the best.
Right.
And that I'm guessing that most of the time pacts are not good
ideas. No.
And so it makes me wonder, like, so I was reading something that said that Lois Duncan does end very closely after the climax. And so you wonder, like, is Barry paralyzed?
Right. Like, what's the aftermath of everything?
Is Helen okay after jumping out the window? Like, she regained consciousness, but was she injured? And she even talks about going through the window in the glass and not caring what happened. So did it cut up her face and stuff like that? Did that impact her ability to stay at Channel 5? Did Julie go to Smith College? Did her and Ray get back together? Like, there's so many things that you do wonder, right? And so in some ways, I think it's interesting that it ends like that. But the person to me is like, I'm wondering how those friendships turned out. Yeah. And in some ways, I might wager the guess that Ray and Julie get back together.
Yeah, that was my bet too. And I think Barry would probably distance himself from the group. I think Helen and Julie might become closer.
Exactly.
Yeah, through the trauma.
But it also depends on what punishments they would have. So we don't even know what happened because they have someone who's chasing after them, but they also did hit a kid with their car. Right. So it's like, yikes. You know, sometimes I think we're too afraid of what's going to happen to us and how people will see us versus, like, what's the best thing for this situation. And so reading it when I was a kid, I was like, well, obviously you go tell someone. And then, but when you add in the personalities of everyone else and intimidating factors and so on and so forth, I can see why some people might have some difficulty and that it would erode them down. Like, it would just...
it would eat at you.
Yeah, it would eat at them until someone was going to be confessing. I'm surprised Julie held out as long as she did.
Yeah, like over a year. That's... I would have caved so fast.
I don't even think I would have made it.
No. It would have been like a week. I would have been like,
No, I don't even think I would have lasted a few hours. I don't think that would have happened. I think I just would have been like... And then hopefully, you know, if I cried out soon enough that the ambulance could have got there and saved the boy. And Barry goes to jail for being a jerk.
Yes. Dirtbag Barry.
Jerk jail.
Yes. Goodbye.
Goodbye. 25 years to life for being a jerk. So I think it's interesting because on the front of it, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of friendship. And it does feel like sometimes you feel obligated to be with friends. And then what difficult situations can do to friends, but also how it can bring them closer or tear them apart, and how secrets really impact an entire group of people.
Yeah.
Because I could see very well at the end of it, everyone just going their separate ways too.
Right.
Bye.
Yeah.
But no, I still believe Julie and Helen and Julie and Ray. Barry. Bye, Barry.
Right. See you later.
See you later, loser. No, I'm sure Barry's gonna grow up and mature.
I'd hope so. I hope he grows from this. Just a little bit.
Well, we'll be sure to include it in our fanfiction.
Redemption arc for Barry.
Ooh, that fanfic is going to be good.
It's going to be lit. It's going to be great.
It's going to be lit. Oh my gosh. So that is I Know What You Did Last Summer by Lois Duncan. And after she wrote the book, the movie came out, as we talked about earlier. And my edition of the book has an interview with Lois Duncan. And she talks about what she thinks of the movie.
Oh boy.
So she is interviewed by a young adult author named Barry Lyga, Lyga.
Not familiar, but yeah.
So Barry says, I Know What You Did Last Summer is probably the book that is most familiar to so many people for many reasons, one of which is the movie. I know many of your readers have seen the movie version and wondered about the differences between the book and the movie. What would you like to talk about that a little bit? Would you like to talk about that a little bit and maybe give some insight into why the movie turned out so differently from the book? She says, I guess the answer is that it's plain more commercial to have things happening as they did in the movie. The movie was a shock to me. Ooh. For one thing, this book was written in 1973, and I had almost forgotten I'd written it. So it was very exciting to learn that it was going to be a major motion picture. I could hardly wait to see it. I went to the theater, bought my ticket of popcorn, and found a seat. Then onto the screen came an insane fisherman carrying an ice hook.
Oh my gosh.
He wasn't in my book. I thought, this is a big complex. Maybe I'll have walked into the wrong theater.
Oh no.
So I was preparing to leave, and then nope, up from below rolled the words, I Know What You Did Last Summer. And I thought, that is my book, but who is that man, and what is he going to do with the ice hook? Well, I soon found out. I don't want to spoil.
Okay.
Basically, she was shocked and horrified, and so...
Yeah. This is pre the era of authors being involved with adaptations, clearly.
So you had no idea going into the movie what they had done with it? You had no communication with the movie production people at all? Oh, no. They kept me as far away as possible. I think they were afraid of how I might react if I realized what my little masterpiece was going to turn into. Was it the fact that it was a slasher movie, period, or the fact that it had changed so radically from the book that shocked you, or maybe a combination of the two? Well, both, because I expected it to be my story and it wasn't. It was my characters and my plot gimmick, but then it went all directions. Even the double identity twist, which was the crux of the story, had been omitted.
What?
Yeah. Also, I was quite horrified by the sensationalized violence. Several years earlier, my own teenage daughter, Kate, had been chased down in her car and shot to death, and I had seen right in front of my eyes what real violence is. To have people screaming and laughing about it did not go down well.
Because people are laughing? Ugh.
Well, it's like a movie, you know.
Oh, is it like one of those bad horror movies where it's like
you'll
kind
just
of like,
have to
boy.
see. So it almost sounds like this really drove home for you the difference between suspense and outright horror. Yes, it did. I don't consider myself a horror writer,
Okay.
and this was horror. As I said, if you'd known it in real life, then seeing it portrayed like that on the screen is a travesty. So I was not happy with the movie, but I have to admit I was happy with the fact that the book had been made into a movie because that made all of my backlist suddenly very popular. It was getting a rebirth, but in a very strange way. And then they go in and he asks her about her characters and things like that. And so that'll kind of lead you into I Know What You Did Last Summer, the movie, which is on Netflix, so everyone can watch if they so choose. And then Claire and I are going to I'm going to rewatch it. Claire's going to watch it, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Yeah.
And then don't forget, on February 20th, Fatalities is going to have a crossover episode where Claire rejoins me, and we're going to talk about the murder of Lois Duncan's youngest daughter, Caitlin. So please come join us for that.
Yes.
But for our next book club, our Best Forevers book club, what book have you chosen to have me read that's going to take like 9 years to read?
Okay. We got a short one.
What?
Yeah. 220 pages in the edition I originally had.
Wow.
Which I don't know if I have anymore. Gonna have to track down a copy. But this is a book that my sister actually enjoyed a lot. She was not a reader. So this is the one series that she just
was like,
devoured.
this is my jam.
She's like, this is it. All right. So it is called The Click by Lizzie Harrison.
Yes. Oh, well, I'm excited because I do find, you know what's interesting, except for the Babysitter's Club, I feel like all our books have a lot of drama and focuses more on problems and friendships than actually in celebrating them.
This might not be a celebration of friendship.
I don't think it will be either.
There's also a movie of this one, too. Yes. And it is horrible and terrible and great at the same time.
I can't wait to read and then see it.
Yeah.
Oh, my god.
I'll have to track it down. I don't know. I used to be
Hopefully
on,
it's on Netflix.
It used to be on, like, On Demand back in the day. I don't know if they took it off or not.
We're going to have to find it on some illegal webpage.
We can stream it.
The screen is flipped and it's like
it's
in a different language with like American subtitles.
Oh, gosh.
American subtitles. How about English subtitles?
Well, there's American English versus British English.
Oh, fair. Thank you. Thanks for making me feel better.
I got you.
So, Claire, I love that we have this continuing book club going and that we can read each other's stuff and then make each other read books and do all sorts.
Gets me to read for fun a little bit.
Yeah, I know. This is the first book I've read in 2019 and it was only 200 pages.
It's fine.
So until next time, friends, I would say don't make a pact or decide to keep crazy secrets with your friends because...
Make promises, not pacts.
Oh.
There we go.
Because without your friends, who would you be? Thanks for listening to Best Forevers. If you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and of course, share with a friend. Please be sure to follow Best Forevers on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Best Forevers Pod, and I'm at Dr. Alysa Lucas on Twitter. You can always find the podcast webpage for more information at bestforeverspod.com and share your stories of friendship by emailing me at bestforeverspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to support the movement to love on our friends more, check out the podcast on patreon.com/bestforeverspod. Now, friends, check out this recommended podcast that you must get in your ear holes immediately.
Hey everyone, I'm Casey.
I'm Abby.
And together we're the Lit Flicks podcast.
Every week we see how your favorite movies stack up to the books that inspired them. Some recent selections include Never Let Me Go and The Girl with All the Gifts. We also have a great TBR list you won't want to miss.
We even have mini episodes for all you pop culture geeks out there. We'll fill you in on the latest in books, movies, and even the occasional celebrity mugshot.
Did we mention we do all this while getting slightly drunk and a little lusty?
Mostly Abby. Download from Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at thelitflixpodcast.com. That's the LITFLIX podcast.com.